science and technology has come a long way since the Bronze Age. Over centuries, we have made great advancements in navigation, weaponry, transportation, medicine, and most importantly, communication. Innovations and forward thinking in the 20th century brought about the technology we know today.
We'll start off with the space race between the United States and the Soviet Union. The space race was a competition between these two superpowers for space dominance.
Hey, what are you supposed to be?
Remember the Russian satellite, Sputnik?
Wow, I don't have the worst costume anymore.
Hey, all right, Ross came as Duty. No, I'm not Duty.
No, space duty.
Okay, I'm Spudnik. You know, like Sputnik?
What's a Sputnik, duty man?
The Soviet Union took a huge lead when they sent Sputnik, the first artificial satellite, into space in 1957. Then, they launched Yuri Gagarin, the first human into space, in 1961. The USA and USSR kept going back and forth. However, the USA eventually won the space race by sending the first man to the moon in 1969. Neil Armstrong uttered these famous words.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
When Apollo 11 touched down on the moon. The space race was significant because it was the start of the development of space technology and rocket research that will be needed in the future.
Next, we'll talk about the Green Revolution. The Green Revolution started after World War II to increase agricultural production. Population increased greatly during this time, and there was concern that the old agricultural techniques weren't enough to produce enough crops to keep up with the demand. The sole purpose of the Green Revolution was to solve the hunger problem. Some positives were that it saved about 1 billion people from starvation, new farming techniques were created, and production increased profoundly. However, some negatives were that poor countries, such as those in Africa, were left out. Toxins and greenhouse gases were spread, waterways were contaminated, and many crops lost their genetic diversity. The Green Revolution proved successful because many people did not starve, and these new techniques and inventions are the foundation of our food production today.
During World War I, advanced thinking created better technology to kill people. Tanks were the most important technological development during that time. Although most of them were prototypes or in development, they were still used in battle. Flamethrowers, Maxim guns, submarines, poison gas, and tracer bullets were all new weapons that were used. This is what mustard gas, one of the many poisonous gases used in World War I, did to people. Although World War I had over 35 million casualties, World War II still had more.
In World War II, all the tech used in World War I was more advanced and put to better use. Aircrafts, tanks, guns, vehicles, and bombs were all made better. The most important weapon of the war was the atomic bomb. The United States had created 2 atomic bombs to drop on Japan. Little Boy and Fat Man were dropped on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. This was the first ever atomic bomb used in combat. The creation of these bombs led to other nations seeking their atomic weapons. After World War II was over, the USSR was the first non-American nation to test nuclear weapons in 1949. Britain followed by testing their own weapon in 1952. France and China also developed weapons during that time. These 5 countries were the only nuclear weapon states in the world. They signed the Treaty on the Non-Proliferation of Nuclear Weapons. The objective of the treaty was to stop the spread of nuclear weapons. However, nuclear proliferation still occurred. India, Pakistan, Israel, and North Korea all had nuclear arms. The fear that terrorist groups would get nuclear weapons increased greatly during this time. Iran was one of the most suspected countries. Iran had beef with America and Israel, so there was reason to try and stop them. Nuclear technology is still used as a threat in Middle Eastern countries today. The most important invention of the century was the internet. The internet jump-started the information age. Anyone could find anything at any given time. Communication around the world was made easier as well. The 20th century paved the way for the great things we have invented today.